This is a tough conversation. I'm speaking to an entrepreneur that's got a marketing company. He's just not getting the results that he wants, and he's not getting them because he's not thinking big enough. He's not going after the customers that would literally change the game for him. It's a big lesson for us business owners. The bigger you think, the bigger the distinct advantage you have in the marketplace. Let's have this conversation. Hello campers, welcome back to Business Broadcast, the podcast designed to help grow your business, and we are doing that as more of you are listening and watching than ever before. And I'm joined by the very handsome James Burt, who is co-hosting this podcast with me now. And you got a lot of fans. You keep continuing to get the fans.
I know. I've actually thought as a side hustle.
Actually, look, I mean, anyone that's watching this, we're on these chairs. We're making this in the hotel. Just throw them in. It's right. Wait, look at this. We've got a nice cushion now.
Oh my God!
We've got these out.
These are
French royalty.
1500s.
Oh, lovely.
These are as old as the beams.
Oh, yeah. These are nice.
Just as comfortable.
Welcome back to Business Broadcast. This is our first one we're doing today. It's not. We're blocking out. What are we doing? 4 today?
4 today.
But we always try and do the intros as if we've just seen each other.
Yeah.
And the one.
Lovely to see you again.
Yeah.
It is always a pleasure.
Today, our guest is Christopher Clowes, who's been Clowes, who's been watching my stuff and now has decided to come on the podcast. He's an Essex boy.
He is from down the road, down in Tiptree.
Tiptree.
Is that they talk Tiptree?
And you knew Tiptree straight away because they're
the Jam
Company, which is now owned by their staff.
Is it?
Yeah. Is
that one of those deals we've talked about before, where they take the ownership? What do you call it? Staff-owned.
Well, I do know the answer to this because the last member of the Tiptree family, the Wilkins family that founded it, it's because it's actually called Wilkins and Son, and they just put So it's like 2 names. It's Wilkins and Sons and Tiptree Jam.
Tiptree's a place and the name of the brand, but Wilkins. Yeah. Okay, so what the last?
No one would ever think about doing right now. It's like me saying this is Rossi Ice Cream, James Sinclair and Sons.
I quite like that though. That would work, wouldn't it?
It doesn't work, does it?
Oh no, I suppose not.
You wouldn't do that now. You wouldn't say it's. I don't know, it's just co-brand. It's weird, isn't it? I'm trying to think of another example of where that's been done, and I actually can't.
No, you get.
I suppose Marks and Spencers do it a bit, don't they? M&S and. Oh no, that is just a shortening.
No,
of
they
Marks
do
and Spencer.
like brand extensions, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't do like co-brands anymore.
Yeah, very, very
I imagine
strange.
before your time is up though, you'll probably have like a Sinclair and family, and then there'll be like brands underneath it.
Maybe. But he's got a marketing agency.
Ah, yes.
I feel a bit of excuse-itis coming on here. He's obviously a hard-working person. We've had a little pre-chat before we came on air, and he's saying that AI is destroying his customer business.
I can see that though.
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't buy into this.
Well, we get it.
Is everyone saying, really?
Yeah, we get quite a lot of people.
You've lost customers because of AI.
They've not directly said that, but there's lots of people who now in the podcasting space, I mean, no one could do it as well as we can. If you don't believe me, check out phonic.media. There you go, subconscious upsell. AI couldn't have done that. Needs a human to do it, doesn't it? But there are lots of things that will edit fast now, that can create clips, that will create assets. It's not as people think, and this is the challenge, is then that they see a 15 quid software, or there's a thing called Autopod. We don't use it on this podcast because this is premium podcast.
What is Autopod?
Quality. So Autopod will basically take these 3 camera angles and it will do the edit for like a 60-minute edit, which would take somebody, say, a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours worth of time to do that manually, to cut between the angles. It will do it in 90 seconds.
Hasn't that sort of stuff been around for a while, like Mevo? Do you remember the Mevo cams that knows who's talking and moves?
It's like them? Mevo on steroids. Which
but
is
that sort of
tagline Mevo would hate.
I was thinking about AI. Everyone's talking about this now. I think it's because it's given a new headline. If you think about Xero, they're an accountancy software. A bookkeeper years ago would have reconciled the bank. So they, an old school bookkeeper would have got a bank statement out. They would have got a ruler and gone through each line on the bank statement and reconciled it.
Yeah.
Well, Xero does that for you now, which has saved a lot of time. Well, that's AI in effect that's done that, isn't it? It's a piece of software, and we're now just calling it AI because it's just got a bit better. And everyone said, oh, the internet's going to ruin jobs, and it did ruin some jobs, but now we've got more delivery drivers. I suppose when we've got automated trucks, if that actually does ever happen, that would be an argument. But, the tractor didn't get rid of farmers, did it? The economy just moves, doesn't it?
And I think that I don't think necessarily AI is going to take your job, but the person who knows how to operate the AI is going to take your job. And it sounds like that's the place that Christopher is potentially going. And to your point about Xero, yes, Xero is a tool, and bookkeepers could either go, no, we still need you to print off your invoice, print off your receipts and bring me your bank statements. That ain't going to happen. But they can do the reconciliation remotely for you. You either work with the tools or you get left behind by them, I think. A wise man once said, if you don't innovate, you'll evaporate.
And there's JB's impression of me again. Well, I think everyone is this, it's like when Bitcoin and crypto come out, everyone's talking about it, and everyone's sort of calmed down on that. No one really cares anymore. They thought it was going to, ruin.
Just gently ticking over at $50,000 for a Bitcoin these days, though. So it's just gently doubled in value behind the scenes, just because it's not in the news agenda. What did your pal Daniel Priestley say about AI? Because he's obviously in the tech space. You had him on your main channel a few weeks ago at the time of this coming out.
Yeah.
Is he a fan?
Yeah, loves it. He's a little bit worried about it, though.
Is he worried about it?
The only thing do you know what? I don't really worry about things because I can't really control it. It's going to happen, isn't it? AI is here to stay. It's been around and it's been getting smarter over the last 10 years. That zero automatic bookkeeping thing is an amazing tool. It's like all these things. The internet's great, but it has its dark places, doesn't it? Social media is great, but also has its dark places. I think we just have to have faith in humanity is always good in the end.
Yeah. Is there any ways are you looking at AI in your
we use
business?
We use it for YouTube. Me and Chud sometimes use it for copy ideas. So we'll put into like headlines we've got for YouTube and ask AI to give us another set of opinions. We use it for generating emails. We've used it for design ideas. So that sort of stuff, I know our marketing team are proactively using it and love it, but we would absolutely expand our marketing team people as well.
But you wouldn't have to if they were using the tools. If they're things like AI.
Well, I suppose we wouldn't,
writing
because we're growing the business. But if it was standing still,
you stay in the same size.
Yes. I think that's a good point. I had a very good, interesting conversation with Daniel Priestley. I was going to one of the amazing conversations that we had together was he was talking about this thing called rare and protected forms of leverage. And I talk about leverage as a tool, a skill that entrepreneurs that go somewhere get. And when we think about leverage, we usually think about it in a property form. We've got £1 million property, we've got a £200,000 mortgage on it, we've got £800,000 worth of equity. How can we leverage that? And that's a basic example of leverage. But actually, when you think about it in business, if you've got a brand, how can you leverage the brand? Like Branson has done probably more than anyone else. Disney have leveraged their brand into cruise lines, into toys, into if they've used their finances to go and buy Star Wars and Marvel, so the leverage in those forms. But then we was looking at fast growth entrepreneurs that seem to have come from nowhere in one generation. Because usually to build real sustainable wealth, like Disney is a 100-year-old company, they've had a century at it now. Harrods is a 180-year-old shop. They've had some time in the game. But then we've spoken about Taylor Swift as a great example of female entrepreneurship, arguably the most successful woman in the world right now. She's a billionaire. She's 34 years old. No one has seen. She's now the superstar that has performed to more live people in one go than anyone else, and she's done it in a very short amount of time. You think someone like Jay-Z is 54 years old. She started very young, and we was looking at rare and protected forms of leverage. So we were saying, what would give you access to be more successful than someone else very quickly? So access to capital. So if you are a descendant of a very wealthy family and you are seriously entrepreneurial and you have that access to capital and you haven't got to worry about how to get it, or access to good bank funding, access to distribution. So we was discussing, if you created a product and Jeff Bezos was your uncle and he could get you on the homepage of Amazon,
you'd probably do all right.
Yeah, so that would be an unfair, rare and protected forms of leverage, because Jeff Bezos is my uncle. You cannot argue that he is my uncle, but for the purposes of this story.
So that's how you've done it. I knew it. I knew it wasn't clowning about in Essex 20 years ago.
Anyway, so then access to debt. One of the other things that we said is fame. if you're a famous family, like you look at the Louis Vuitton Moet Henson family, Bernard Arnault, you know, his children are CEOs of, I don't know, one of them CEO of Dior, one of them CEO of Tiffany. I can't believe we're just spitting out these brands like litter here. Those children that are super successful very quickly have a famous brand around them, famous family that's achieved them. If they've got establishment and recommendation, so if Jeff Bezos says, oh, you should use my nephew to launch your business, that recommendation from someone really powerful gives you leverage very quickly at finding and having access to talent. So we talk about Jeff Bezos. Then when he started Amazon, he worked for someone previously, and he knew all the right talent and started with them straight away. Bill Gates the same, you know, had access to talent and knew talented people when he started Microsoft. It's a rare and protected form of leverage.
So in the conversation, were you saying that you should be looking for those things that you've already got?
Well, I think once you're aware of it, I don't know, you just start attracting yourself into those, you find the people, and you think, right, well, that's what I need to be around. But actually, when you look at people that have gone from zero to hero, and you might not be going as fast as them, if you really look into it, Jeff Bezos, his parents gave him £400,000 or $400,000 to start Amazon. That's
a nice bunch of seed funding, isn't it? In the 90s to sell books.
Yeah, so let's say that's worth $2 million today.
Yeah.
You ain't going to have £2 million just to get that going.
Yeah.
That is rare.
Good luck, Jeff.
That is rare.
Yeah.
Rare. Now, let's look at Taylor Swift. Her dad is an investment banker, venture capitalist, knows what he's doing, very smart cookie. And she assigned to Scooter Braun, which she fell out with so famously, and that's
famously didn't go well, that relationship.
Didn't go well, but they started Big Machine Records or something like this, which was a record company that produced all of Taylor Swift stuff. Guess where they got some of their startup funding
from?
That's
right, her dad
bankrolled
it, didn't he?
He
there was a couple of million.
Signed my daughter, have a That's so when you look at these people that become really successful, yes, she's hardworking, blah blah blah. Anyway, so me and Daniel had a quick call on the way in, and he said one of the other things that we didn't remember to talk about, which gives you a rare and protected form of leverage, certainly in the Taylor Swift example and the Beyonce example, is if you are good looking, that does give you step up very quickly.
I think Jeff being your uncle and your looks, that really actually makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? That makes a lot of sense. But I think with this rare and protected form of leverage, though, let's forecast forward 15 years.
But just before, I want you to answer, do you think if you are good looking, does you think that gives you leverage?
From experience, Jim. My wife told me, no, it doesn't. You ugly sod, get back to work.
But it is if you...
Yeah,
we spoke about Ryan Reynolds as well, who is a very talented entrepreneur as well.
Yes.
Multiple exits, obviously an amazing actor and, knows what he's doing. But he's also a very good-looking man, isn't he? And I say that in a absolutely straight way. I can respect he's a very good-looking man. George Clooney, exactly the same. Brad Pitt. These people are very good-looking people.
Does it help? Yeah, it probably does, in all honesty.
Well, I think if you're an attractive woman, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, it's definitely helped them.
Or an attractive guy. I think that's helped as well, isn't it? You're not getting. Ryan Reynolds has been 25, 30 years in the film game, isn't he? Ryan Gosling, everyone's like, oh, Ryan Gosling. Well, wife is anyway. Oh, Ryan Gosling. I wish Ryan Gosling would ride in on a horse and take me off. I'm like, I wish he'd take you off and all. Yeah. Here you go, Ryan, I'll help you get her on the back of the horse.
Anyway, back to your question.
My question was, forecasting forwards then, let's say that a young entrepreneurial Harvey or your daughter comes along and goes, I've got a great idea, Dad. Can you bankroll this for me? And it's a shocker. It's a terrible idea. It's in the time of AI, but they're like, we want to open a whatever. They want to open something that doesn't make any sense, but they know that they've got rare protected leverage because
I might not say yes to it.
Daddy Cool.
But one more step on this, Taylor Swift would have been coached and Beyonce would have been Jay-Z is obviously a very talented entrepreneur as well as all of that other stuff. That would have definitely helped the Beyonce career. There's no denying that Beyonce isn't
of course.
talented, whether you like Jay-Z or not. And I don't, I'm not getting into the domestic stuff that's spouted around the internet about, but he is.
What's about man?
Well, there was some domestic violence. There was accused that he was knocking her about. And
I didn't know that.
yeah. Google it. But well, you didn't know about that, so maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I'm sure it's on Google. I know it's on Google. But he's very talented, and that I'm sure has helped the Beyonce career.
Yeah.
And I think being around that environment, which is one of the other ones that we said, what is your environment? If Ronaldo's children want to be footballers,
yes,
they've got rare and protected forms of leverage, because dad's going to be the de facto coach there, and my children will just pick up stuff from me that hopefully won't mean they present me with a stupid idea.
Yeah. But what if they do?
Well, I'll just say no.
Will you?
Yeah, of course.
Is there not a lesson for them to go and tough it out and have a failure?
Well, I'd probably want my children. I'd probably want my children to go and work for someone else, unless they've just create their own thing.
Okay.
If they create their own thing with their own money, like turn £100 into £1,000, and go, right, that's seriously entrepreneurial talent. But they might have management talent. They might need to go and be accountants and bring that skill set into the fold.
Yeah. Okay.
Because success is a team sport, isn't it? I've got a skill set, but Janky, my commercial director, has a different skill set, and Aaron, my managing director, and Leah, my FD. Yeah, we bring a team sport of skills.
Yeah. Fair enough. What's your rare form of leverage that you utilise? Do you think?
Well, I don't think I had any of that, so I've built it up.
What have you got now?
I think I've got most of those now. I have a good environment around me. People would recommend me. I'm building personal brand, and I think personal brand really helps you explain.
If you could only pick one, if you said like that's the thing that really...
Knowledge now.
Yeah.
Knowledge, which is another one of the ones that we discussed. Or the looks.
Yeah. If it comes down to it, terrible guy, but what a looker, what a cracker he is. Yeah. I think you're speaking about you're not here. I think your reputation would open. I think you, in most instances, you're one of them rare people that could go onto like LinkedIn and say, right, I need to raise £3 million for this thing. I need to raise it today. I reckon you get that money off LinkedIn.
Do you?
100%. Let's do it as a challenge. I genuinely think that you could raise £5 million in a day off a LinkedIn post.
I think I would like to start a fund one day in the next 5 years to invest in other companies. I think we could do.
Would you like being an investor in other people's companies though?
Once in the future, yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, but properly set up with good people in to manage the stuff. Yeah.
So you'd actually have almost like a micro family office. Set up.
Yeah, it's a massive.
So not just like here's some cash, good luck. Like you dial them into your management team and all the rest of it.
Yeah. I think because there's lots of entrepreneurs that. Because it's that team sport thing, how could I give a company rare and protected forms of leverage that we could explode the growth quicker by being part of our fold?
Yeah.
But it's about 5 years away.
Do you think? Do you think AI could speed it up?
Maybe.
I'll just try to segue back to the guest.
Yeah, segue back to the guest.
Just wanted the yes or no there. Sorry, Christopher. We've left Christopher hanging in the wings as we've started this podcast. But it's interesting to you're talking about leverage, rare and protected forms of leverage. Maybe AI is breaking the walls down of that protected leverage.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that was previously only the biggest companies in the world would have had the technological capacity.
We said that. See, this rare and protected forms of leverage, although it is still rare and it is still protected and there is leverage, we were saying, certainly on the content piece, if you wanted to make content, which we absolutely know can explode the growth of business, you had to be Disney, you had to be the BBC or have access to 100%. People in those companies.
Couldn't have done this 10 years ago. 3 cameras set up and chatting in the back room of your hotel.
In 4K.
Yeah, in 4K. We'd have had to be going to Adventure Radio to pitch them for a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Jim and Jim in the afternoon.
Jimmy.
That would have been a good show, though, wouldn't it? Can we get like a summer special? Are you in pals with Adventure Radio?
Yeah, we might.
Can we get one down by the seaside? Like a seaside special?
Well, if we was going to do a seaside special, we'll absolutely be doing it in Rossi, not in Adventure Island. Thank you very much.
No, but Adventure Radio. They've got a radio station, haven't they?
Yeah,
Have you got a radio station?
No.
Exactly. So we need them.
Give me time.
Get off your high horse, you. Rare and protected. Come back to me when you've got that rare and protected leverage. All right?
Yeah.
Right, Christopher. Let's go back to Christopher. So, he has been going about 6 years, but it sounds like he's having a big old pivot.
Yeah.
Because he's moving out of that content marketing space because his rare and protected leverage of being good at making content, the walls have come down and AI is doing half the job for him now. Yeah. Estimated monthly revenue, 17 grand a month. Does he have team members? Yes. If so, how many? Or he said yes. He has got 5. There you go. Challenge 1, diversifying. Have I read that right? Diversifying from an established marketing agency into the world of AI, as we predict the world of marketing is going to die out, whilst not losing revenue from our core product of the past. Interesting challenge. Challenge 2, getting the right staff to deliver in such a new era. New Era. Do you remember New Era trainers? They were great back in the day, weren't they?
I don't know what you're talking about. No.
Do you not remember them?
No.
Chuds don't know. They were a skate brand, weren't they? New Era? No? On my own, okay?
Maybe they were Granddad, keep reading out.
Maybe it's a dodgy like market store clothing that my dad told me was lovely. Yeah. Challenge 3, getting customers that have the belief in what AI can do, but also understands that an off-the-shelf system that has been seen on Facebook ads may not be the holy grail.
So I don't get this. He's saying AI is killing him, but he's also selling AI as a brilliant thing.
Yeah.
We need to get clarity on that.
Yes, I think we do. It's going to kill off part of his existing business, so he's building up a different arm of a business to protect that downside.
But just on your business, are you seriously worried that AI is going to kill your podcast business?
Not in the short term, no. But I also think that the market that we're going to go after moving forwards will need the human element. So we're getting now bigger companies, bigger brands that want professional experts come in and do it. Whereas before, there's other agencies. When I first started, I wanted to compete with the other sort of like big agencies out there, owned by a guy called Rob, and they had like 200 odd shows, and it's very cookie cutter. Top and tail of it, a bit of audio, a bit of production, make it nice, give them a couple of assets, bosh, go. That was the model that I wanted. And I think it's probably just an ego play because I wanted 200 customers. But actually, when I looked at it, I was like, do I want 20 customers that are making like banging podcasts? Do I want 20 business broadcasts? The oracle of podcast and content. That's the model we're going. And that, this can't be done by AI because it requires human talent. So am I scared of it? No, but that's because the market that we're going after, the mainstream, the people who would pay you sort of a lot of people paying you a little bit of money, I think that will go in content.
I like to compare other industries. Let's look at Next, the clothing homeswear.
Okay.
I think they're a very successful high street shopping chain. They're also very successful online.
Yeah.
They're not scared of the internet. It's actually benefited and helped their business.
Yeah.
And I was with the senior people at Lakeside Shopping Centre. Those of you that are non-UK listeners or non-Essex listeners, this is a very large shopping centre. It's still, I think, the largest shopping destination in Europe because they've got a big retail park.
Is it?
Yeah. 23 million people go there every year.
Do they really?
Yeah. It's still very big. And we've got a day nursery in there and we've got a family entertainment centre in there. And I was talking to the asset managers and House of Fraser have moved out. Those of you, again, that are not UK listeners, that was a stable British brand for a good couple of hundred years.
Big department store.
And an entrepreneur called Mike Ashley bought it. Who also owns Sports Direct here in the UK. A very
Newcastle United Football Club, famously.
He's a very successful UK entrepreneur. He's done lots of turnaround stuff. He couldn't get the deal with the rent that he wanted. And so he said, right, I'm going to move out House of Fraser. And it's a big 3-floor department store in Lakeside. Anyway, cut a long story short now, Next are taking that space over.
Oh, are they?
And they're going to build a big department store. And Next have bought Reese. Do you know Reese, the big...
Yeah.
So Next own that. They own Lipsy and they've bought other brands. They've done what Mike Ashley's done, actually, by the way, buying other brands and building a ecosystem of branding and vertical integration. They're doing very well on homewares and stuff like that. So they're expanding physical retail space and they believe that the physical retail space helps their online sales. So what I'm trying to say is that technology has allowed them to improve their existing business, the old school part of the business. And I feel that way about AI.
Yeah, I think it probably is that
in a long, rounded way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at the moment, to be honest, AI is more of a help than a hindrance because we do use things that will cut audio quicker, that will do a lot of processing, that can give us suggestions for content and all that kind of stuff. Again, I don't think the technology is not going to take your job. The person who knows how to use the technology might potentially, if you don't move with the times.
Yeah, I think. And you can't beat it. You got to join it and use it. Haven't you?
Yeah, 100%.
It's here to stay.
Yeah.
Where does he want to be in 1 year's time?
1 year's time, he would like to be working on installing bespoke AI systems into businesses that will have lower costs and increase conversion rates without dropping the human connection.
What does it look like when it's finished?
When it's finished, working on 2 big projects per month.
What about Profito?
He doesn't make the profit he wants to make. If so, no, he does not. Since the introduction of AI, mixed with the fact that we are going into a downturn in the economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, motivational speaker James Burt joining you today.
They want the profit? No. As we're going into a downturn, we've seen a lot of work go to people trying to go because people are trying to cost save and use AI tools instead of using us day to day. Hence why we want to pivot to use our development processes in a new trend. I also think, and this is not me being unkind, but I think sometimes an excuse will pop along that very much serves the narrative that you want to believe in your own brain. If you, like, we've had a couple of clients, I could go, oh yeah, they want to cost save or whatever it may be. Yeah. We were not the agency for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's fine.
And I think there's a bit of a law of attraction thing here. He's attracting
small
customers that are getting small results. He's got to think bigger to get bigger results.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was he doing with his time, JB? Because I think that will give us a lot of clues here.
Yes. Day to day in the business, in my role, since the pivot 10 months ago, my job is to sell conversion rate optimization strategies to people. This is a strategy on how to use AI within their processes to free up their time and convert digital traffic at a higher rate. The problem we find, law of attraction again, the problem we find is that people are not ready to invest into something that they don't fully understand. This means that we have to educate them first, but also stay afloat with our business and run a juggling act.
Can I just say, I think this is most small businesses. He's in the camp of the most.
Yeah.
If you do 100%, 5% of businesses are absolutely having it off. 25% are doing okay.
Having it off. I've heard that for years.
They're having it off. Having it off. They've got very comfortable lifestyles out of their business, or more than very comfortable. And then 25%, things are good. They're earning a goodish salary from their business. They've started to build it into a profitable business. But most people are in this camp. The 70% are just... Feels like that. My dad used to say this to me, right? He's a wise man. He used to love an analogy. I used to hate him at the time, and now I'm like, I wish I'd listened more. He said, the fox tries to catch 2 rabbits will catch neither, young man. I was like, shut up, what are you talking about? But actually, when I look at it, like, do this digital marketing stuff because it's amazing, and then you also try to say, hey, here's this thing that's even more amazing than digital marketing. And I think actually trying to sell the 2 simultaneously, I think you will potentially struggle with that. The only answer to that is when people look at me and go, "Christ, he's doing a lot," but I just employ another fox so I can catch both rabbits. Yeah. And most people are not prepared to do that.
Yes.
They are not prepared to sacrifice their own income to employ the next fox.
Yeah. And in this instance here, for Christopher, potentially I would have 2 separate brands. I'd have digital marketing 101 brand, and then I'd have AI marketing, and I'd have someone else who's working on that.
Only if you can afford to employ the person to work on that, that's going to be better than you.
Yeah.
And if you look at super successful people, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, they're employing people better than them to do those next things. And I don't think we've got that here because... a good little clue, and I've worked it out on my calculatrice here, is...
Why do you do weird words in French where they don't need to be? Calculatrice. Carry on.
I'm working out revenue per employee. Revenue per employee. We've got 35,000 of revenue per employee.
Right.
And then we've got overhead to take out of that, which means this is... slither tight to make money from.
Yeah.
If he was doing 300,000 of revenue per employee, the business is profitable, can invest in good people, etc., etc. He hasn't got that, and that's
well, the previous podcast we did, was he doing £434,000 per employee?
Exactly that, JB.
So now he can employ the next level of management to scale this up.
You got it.
Should we get him on?
Yeah, let's get him on.
Christopher, sorry, we've been talking about you behind your back, in front of your face sort of thing. Are you there, though? Have you heard all of our chitty chat?
I am. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Still here, hanging on. I think I hung up at
Can we turn him up a little bit, JB? I'm struggling to. My assessment of trying to understand your business, Christopher. So what I've done is I've taken your revenue of 17,000, times it by 12, divided by the amount of people. You said 5. Are you one of those 5?
I am, yes.
Yeah, so then I'm saying, right, we're getting 35,000 of revenue per employee. By the time you pay for an office and overheads and stuff like that, it must feel like there's not much left at the end of the month, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's always those struggles month on month. I mean, 17's our bottom point. We kind of average between kind of 17 and 25. Yeah. Obviously month on month, but that's kind of our baseline.
So what I would be working out for your business is, how can I get better customers, the customers that you really want? How do you?
So I think that's what we're doing. And you hit the nail on the head a minute ago, saying kind of having 2 brands. That's what we've got. We've separated the brands. So HC Media Group works. The tagline is marketing done by humans for humans. We're still kind of pushing that, and we're still, we're still doing well in that in some ways. But I can see, because I've been involved in AI for about 11 years, understanding specifically kind of how Amazon use the AI to help get people to convert and whatnot. So I can see what's coming up in the future, that businesses like yourself, you was mentioning, you're using more AI in-house. And actually, if you didn't have that AI in-house, what you'd have done is you'd have gone to a freelancer, or you'd gone to an agency to get those bits of work done. But more things are being done in-house because of that software development and the ease of you guys using it. So we've got 2 choices. We can either run scared from it, or embrace it and help people use it. And that's kind of the theory that we're taking. We're kind of embracing it, teaching people how to use it, and kind of helping people put it into their strategies, into their processes. But you're right, I've separated the brand so people don't get too confused. So my business partner works on the kind of the HC Media Group, and we still do our normal marketing, PPC. We're top of Google, that kind of thing, to generate those leads. And I'm off trying to build this brand, which is my Christopher Clowes brand, personal brand, to kind of generate that extra income on that new technology that's available.
When you say you're teaching people with, how AI can go into their systems and processes and stuff, Christopher, what are you actually selling are you selling AI consultancy then? Is that the gig?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To start with, it's AI consultancy. We're sitting down with them, getting out their process, and going, we can automate that bit, we can automate that bit, we can automate that bit. And once we've gone through that process and the person understands what we can automate, then we'll go into we can build you that bespoke AI into your business. And that keeps the web development team busy, because building AI is exactly the same as building APIs and web development, just a slightly different thought process behind it. So it's the consultancy first, and then going through into the building the bespoke channels.
So who's your ideal customer or client for the AI side of things right now?
So this is the bit where I have a challenge, and you guys might be able to help me. I have an ethical standpoint that I love working with smaller businesses, because I know that, just as an example, I used to look after the SEO for Ladbrokes, Visa, EE, Vodafone, Butlins, National Trust, Clarendons, and people like that. And you'd do incredibly well, but you wouldn't even get a thank you, And working with smaller businesses, I get a real good sense of enjoyment, but obviously the smaller businesses haven't really got the cash to invest into something they're not sure of. So I reckon, around, companies turning around kind of 30-40 grand a month, would be kind of the low end of the market where I can sit down and kind of really get the teeth in, because they've already got their processes lined up. A one-man band just works off the whim and does what he needs, but it needs to be kind of very, the business needs to have processes already written down and start following the processes so that we can really get into the nitty-gritty of seeing what we can automate.
I know this is one of Jim's favourite questions, but how did you get your first customer then for the AI consultancy piece, so we can understand the sort of what they came to you looking for?
So my first customers from this come from a marketing agency. I spoke to good clients that we work with, and said, can I come in and obviously practice kind of this consultation side, and things like that, which has been absolutely great. After that, we joined the London Chamber of Commerce. I've been doing quite a lot of work with those, and just talking about, round table about AI, how it affects businesses, booking one-to-one meetings with people, sitting down, seeing what they're doing, and just explaining the process of, what I do and how it can be a benefit. Sadly, there's not really much search for AI consultancy at the moment, because it's such a new field. Obviously, ChatGPT come out 14 months ago. AI has been around for years, but ChatGPT's just created an interface, and now everybody thinks it's brand new. So it's still a new industry.
And if someone came to you interested in the consultancy, what are you like selling them? What's the pitch, or what's the package that they're getting? Because one of the things I think sometimes people struggle with consultancy, it's a bit like, how long's a piece of string? You can almost you sell the information, but people actually really care about the outcome. So what is it? How do you frame that consultancy piece to them?
So we sit down. There's a couple of days of sitting down and going through their process. So we open up their sales process, their customer service process, the delivery process, whatever processes that they have. If they haven't got it, then we start, help them write the processes for them. And then we look at ways that we can automate that. So what I would then do is put a kind of a brief in each area of what automations can be done. So as an example, one that we've done for one of our clients up in Liverpool, I sat down with him and said, why are you not selling? And he said, I'm getting too many questions. People are phoning me up saying, what's my UTR number? Is this tax deductible? What's this? So actually what we've done is we helped with that process and created a back end of his website. And the back end is like an Ask the Accountant. It's an AI chatbot that people can go in. It's got all their previous tax returns in there that's uploaded to their file. It's all obviously coded, so it's secret and data privacy and all of that. But they can ask the chatbot questions, and the chatbot will then obviously look at UK accounting law and go back to the previous tax returns and come back with the answers for them, specific to them. So what that's done now is that's freed up that business owner to then go off and make sales, and things like that.
So is it almost like, again, just so that I can, because I don't fully get the AI stuff, but is it almost like you are putting into place where previously it would have been like an API via like a Zapier, or it had been an automation built in the back end of like a Go High Level or one of those platforms, for example, the API is becoming AI instead. So where there would have been an integration with something else, you're using artificial intelligence in that space. Because like chatbots have been around for ages, but they obviously can only go back to a library of questions rather than answer it intelligently. Is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah. In a nutshell, I mean, that's just one example. But yes, obviously we've always had API services that, you can connect, but it's going from one data point to another. Now it just kind of opens up. You can go from one data point to thousands. So it gives the customer a better, a better journey. But that's just one thing that AI can do. Another one that we've done for a company is that they sit there. It's a dentist. They've got, tons of different products that they buy every single week. So they have a member of staff that sits there, Googles the product on a number of different sites. They go, oh, on this site it's $9.99. On this site it's $9.89. On this site it's £6. Oh, we'll buy it from that one. So what we've done is we followed that process, and I've got an AI bot to sit there and basically fill out this spreadsheet of all the costings of all the webs, from everything live. And that's saved absolute, tons of hours every single month.
Okay.
Now the dentist can obviously take more appointments and things like that. So it's the admin tasks and getting the AI bot to do the admin tasks, but learn from the admin tasks. So the next time that it does it in a slightly different way to get a better answer, because you've told it that you want it to get, well, once it's delivered the results, it said, oh, brilliant, but can you try and do it this way? And then they'll go out and do it that way the next time. So the algorithm's learning as it goes on to produce better and better and better results.
So we understand then all the stuff that AI can do, but if, in terms of growing your business, which is what we want to try and do here, I think I was going to your questions you'd like to ask me. I think for this, if you ask me those directly, and I'll try my. Do you have them with you, Chris?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, if you ask them one at a time, and then, because I've just read them, I think that'd be a good way of structuring the show. So kick off with the first one.
So the first one's quite a simple one. Obviously, because it is a new industry, what would you build first? Would you build the sales team first, or would you build, a high level of delivery first, so that you can take quite a lot of sales? How would you kind of balance out that investment of a sales team versus delivery?
Well, I wouldn't, at this level of size, build a sales team. I would be the salesperson at this size of business with 5 people, but I'd definitely be making content. That's what I would be doing, like for free, educating people on how they can use AI or marketing in their business to get more customers. You should be a full-time content creator and then convert that content into sales. You should have a podcast, you should be making videos, you should be making newsletters, really good quality content with stories like you've just told on how you're solving people's problems. And then that will change you from a push, not pull. So you want to pull opportunities towards you rather than push for opportunities. Most businesses are pushing, they're knocking on doors, they're writing emails, and you should be doing all of that stuff in the early days. But if you can flip to a pull mentality, so Harrods, Disney, all the Louis Vuitton brands are all pulling customers towards them, and you want to be in that camp, and I'm seeing that happening with my content now. It takes a while to happen, and it gives you unfair leverage over everyone else. If you've got a personal brand, I think people try and sell on their content too quickly. You should just not be doing that. You should be just educating the audience like you're a TV show, making documentaries, and then people will seek you out. They will find you, and then once you've got so many leads you don't know what to do, then you bring in a salesperson. My experience of salespeople in small businesses of your size, they're not very good, because they're going to go and work for, BMW or Mercedes, where leads are literally walking into the showroom every single day. And really, you've got to generate leads for salespeople. And if you're not generating 20, 30 leads a day for them, you're actually asking your salespeople to be marketeers and generate their own leads. And really, salespeople are very good at converting leads that are already there. There is the rare example of sending someone out in a car and knocking on doors and, trying to get stuff over the line. And I think that's becoming harder and harder to do. But warm, well-qualified leads presented to salespeople gets much better results.
I think as well, your point a minute ago, Christopher, you said about there's not much search traffic for AI consultants, and you're absolutely right, but there is tons of it around the subject of AI in general. We launched an AI podcast last week for a client. They went to like number 15 in the technology chart straight away, and there's so much of an appetite for that content at the moment because people don't really, as you mentioned in one of your challenges.
When crypto came out, everyone wanted to know about it, even if they weren't going to buy any.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone was interested.
So I think if you become the person who makes that content, do some, you know this stuff yourself inside out, back to front, do some SEO searches, find out what's got the biggest search traffic right now for AI and answer those questions. They almost do like FAQs and make that your content. And like Jim said, do a podcast that talks about it and then give use cases, bring your clients on. What are you smirking at?
Yeah, definitely do a podcast. If only we knew someone that could help him.
The great AI bots out there.
Okay, so
it's interesting you say that because, we started our podcast about 5 weeks ago. We started recording. My 6th book comes out on Friday. This book, this is my 2nd book about AI. My weakness is being in front of camera, being ginger and bold. Nobody wants to see that.
No, I'm not so sure about that.
But yeah, it's getting the time to
Do you know, it's just funny. It's like, I had Daniel Priestley on my podcast. Actually, it's coming on the main channel, and he's a big fan of AI. The show will probably be out by the time we've recorded this. And I said to him, what if the business owner doesn't want to be on camera? And do you know what he turned around and he said? Get over yourself.
Yeah. Get AI to do it.
No, he said, get over yourself.
We are starting down that process.
Because, I don't want to do VAT returns. I don't want to do administration. I don't want to fill in my tax return, but I've got to do it, haven't I? It's boring. I've got to do it. And sometimes you just have to get over yourself. And I'm listening to you now. I think you've got a personality that will serve well. And if you really want your business to explode from 25 grand a month to a couple of $100,000 a month, maybe we've got to get uncomfortable with being comfortable. Or comfortable being uncomfortable, whatever the phrase is.
I'm fine being on camera. I mean, I've been.
That's great. That one's solved. Let's. We've changed them.
It's just the time. Yeah, it's just the time of you sitting down and actually, pumping out those videos when you are working a full-time job.
But Christopher, mate, I'm busy, mate. I'm one of the busiest men you'll meet. I'm telling you, I am so bloody busy. I've not got time to fart. But I think making videos is so important to grow my business. That's why I prioritise that time. And it's leveraged work. It's leveraged work. You do the work once, and it continues to work for you. And I get some idiot on YouTube going, James Sinclair, he's just making videos. Yeah, why is he trying to do that? He needs his YouTube revenue. I make about £700 a month from YouTube revenue. It barely pays for my massages each month.
Influence.
I don't have massages.
His protein shakes these days, jacked.
But I see it as so important and opening so many doors for my business. I just don't understand why more people aren't doing it.
I think you should be leveraging the podcast as well. Are you videoing it? Are you then putting it through like a ChatGPT or Bard or one of them platforms and turning that into a newsletter? Put that as a LinkedIn article, put that out as content pieces, repurpose that into use AI to make it into carousels for you, turn it into posts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Christopher, before we had this podcast with you today, me and JB had a bang, bang, bang chicken.
We did.
At a little restaurant just down the road. And we've been putting all of the video content that we're making from the podcast onto Instagram. And my Instagram is, exploding in terms of what it was before. I'm not Kim Kardashian on Instagram by no stretch of the imagination.
Getting there though, aren't you, babes?
But more people are watching my Instagram stuff.
What are you saying, 150 a day?
About 150 a day.
That's good.
And it's leverage work. So I'm making this this audio first platform thing, and we're now putting it on YouTube, which wasn't doing before because we're stupid. What a folly that was. Stupid James Sinclair, not doing the right stuff. We've sorted that out now. But now we're also cutting it up and put it on socials, TikTok and Instagram, the whole lot. And so, Christopher, if you're making a podcast and you've wrote 6 books, I'm sure you can make some videos.
That's that solved then.
What's the next question?
Next challenge. No, next question.
Yeah, so the second question, very similar, really, balancing launching a new product whilst but you've still got a product that you are profitable from, and you're kind of balancing it out. Do you keep the one that's profitable and sitting there, or do you grow something new because you can see the future trends?
But so the main business is, if you can afford it.
So the main business is digital marketing, so search engine optimization and web development.
And is that making money?
That is making money, yeah.
But this new thing that you want to do, you're worried about that losing money in the future, and so this is why you're doing this next thing to pivot into, because you're worried that
that's exactly right. It's the pivot that we're doing right now.
Yeah. Well, then you've got to do it, because if the first one's dying, you need to be doing that. And that's why I call this the 4 company philosophy. Have you seen me talk about that on my stuff before, Christopher? So company number one, the company number one is the company you are today. It's got to pay all the bills. So that's the current marketing agency. But what's the company you really want to be? Company number 3 is a media and marketing company, pushing in warm, qualified leads. That's de facto pulling rather than pushing, that leads into your business. And then number 4 is a property investment company or an investment company that allows you to build long-term wealth over a period of time. So you know the philosophy. But I don't think that we're seeing the disappearance of marketing agencies. I know lots of people that have got marketing agencies that are still doing well.
The marketing agencies are going to stay. Our core base has always been that kind of low entry SME.
But I think I'm so glad you've just said that. Can I just say, I think you're wrong on that. I think, you've got some of those customers, but why don't you get the ones that you can get £500,000 contract with? We just had a podcast before you. His customers are spending around £250,000 per job with him. And I think you just need to say, no, that's the sort of customer I want. I'm going to go out there and find them. So let's look at the James Sinclair content. My stuff is appealing to people like you and above. I don't really cater for solopreneurs, one-man bands. This is not what this podcast and my audience is about. They're people that are very ambitious, that want to go to the next level, that don't mind having a bit of tough love from me. Chris, what you're doing today, to come on and have a conversation with me, and I'm hoping that some of it feels uncomfortable, and you think, he's a bit of a knob, this bloke. I don't really like him. I don't like what he's saying to me. But reality is, you get off of this, hopefully then change afoot happens, and you will think, do you know what? That was a tough conversation, but I can take that tough conversation and I can take my business to the next level. And do you know what? He's right. Why am I taking customers that are only spending 20 grand a year with me? Why don't I look for the people that are prepared to spend £250,000 a year from me? Because it's something that I've learned. It's so much enjoyable looking after bigger customers. There's more profit in it and always a better relationship. So I'm very lucky that we work with some amazing brands like Haven and Centre Parks. I see you used to work with Butlins, which used to be part of Born Leisure. They're a big customer of mine. I've got an amazing relationship with them. They're one of my biggest customers, and we look after each other and we talk to each other, and we massage a brilliant relationship together. And we don't...
Because there's enough in that relationship to warrant doing that, isn't there?
Yeah,
you can't do that if you're serving 100 other small customers, can you? You just haven't got the time.
And I think what you think in your mind, and I don't want to get woo-woo on this podcast because I like it to be quite real, but I think you get what you go seeking.
Yeah.
And it sometimes takes a little bit longer to get a big dog over the line. We've just taken over a very big customer. It took 18 months to get them to come over to us. I hope you're listening to this, Christopher. It took us 18 months, and I was involved in that. But they'll probably be with us for the next 5 years at least, maybe more, as long as we don't muck it up, and I have no intention of mucking it up. And that's high barrier to entry. The higher barrier to entry you go, the more profit there is, the better the relationship is. But because it's a lot more work, it's tougher.
So how would you, that took you 18 months. So if you were a smaller size business that, is getting a bit of profit, but not too much, how would you put all your efforts into that 18-month, wait?
Well, because with you, you have you've got a little bit of money coming from a lot of people a lot of the time, and I have that with Marsh Farm, the hotel, so I've got all these, I don't want to rely on just big customers. I want them small customers. Mm-hmm. That's the four company mentality. But I think the first stage is looking and seeking it. How can I do more? Like, so if you've already worked with Butlins, I've seen them on your website, like, why don't you ask to have face-to-face meeting with them? Don't just rely on emails and phone calls. Like, say, look, I've got an idea. I want to come and pitch it to you. Mm-hmm. And all those other big brands that you've touched before, because what's not making sense is you're talking about all these big brands, but we're only doing 25 grand a month. One of those big brands that I was just talking about, and I'm not going to mention who, but some months they spend £250,000 with us. And they're big enough and they have the budget to do marketing in a big way, but are you having the right conversations and the right pitches with them?
With those, when you're looking at those big clients, I'm not sure if you know how the agency world works, but they work with the big media comms in London, and then those would then farm out the work that is needed.
But why can't you
to the smaller contractors, which is us?
Why can't you be?
That's kind of our route to market.
Let me just say, Chris, why can't you be one of the big media comms in London? I absolutely know. American Express sponsored my content here on my main YouTube channel, and I worked with one of those big media comms that then some sort of based for American Express. Now, if I was setting up a media company, I'd be thinking very quickly, how can I be one of them big media companies in London? That's who I want to be. How am I going to make it happen? Because I am a main supplier of some of them big companies that you've worked with. I'm not a subcontractor. How can you be one of the main people? You're better than you think.
I agree with that, but then obviously that comes down to the first question: do you build the sales team or the delivery team first? Because there's only 5 of us.
Yeah, but when I built Teddytastic, it's a 7-year-old business now. This year, and this is a startup. I didn't buy this. It's a startup that's going into year 7 right now. It will do 6.5 million of revenue as a department within our business, and it started with 5 people and only had 5 people. For the first 5 years, and we've now got 12 in that team, and that 12 could look after 15 million of revenue, and then if we go further, then we'll expand it further. But before every master, there was a starter, and I think you just have to do all of it yourself. It's very stressful, it's very hard work, and you wear all the multiple hats for the first few years, and that's entrepreneurship, baby.
The great thing is that you've already got a team who are already servicing existing clients.
Having 5 is great. Yeah. Having 5 people is, not many people have 5 people.
Get 4 of them carrying on working for your existing marketing agency, and the one person, which is you, becomes everything to everyone from the AI perspective. You make the content, you do the marketing, you do the sales calls, you do the face-to-face stuff, you do the lead gen.
Which is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. Chris, I want to just come away from business, give an analogy here. Like, I am a big believer in writing stuff down, right? When I write stuff down on my goals and I commit it to paper, things really happen. What I want you to do is get off of this call and say, I am going to get a single customer that spends £1 million a year with me. And you are going to go and seek someone that spends £1 million a year with you. You will find them, and you are going to go and get them, and you're going to write it down with pen and paper. And you'll be disappointed in yourself if you don't achieve it this year now. But then sometimes it just takes 18 months. It pushes you. It forces you to think bigger. I'm telling you, one of the things here is I think you're not thinking big enough. That whole thing, like where you said, I'm a subcontractor of the main people in London. No, you are going to be the main person in London. There ain't going to be no middlemen. You're going to be the top of the tree. And I believe you can do it. I think you have the personality and the charisma to do it, and you should do it. Next thing, let me give you an analogy. Let's park business to the side. I've really been trying to get fitter and healthier, and I've got a coach, a PT that's been helping me. At the beginning of this year, I wrote down my goals like I do every year, and I hated writing this on paper. I said I was going to run 5K every single week. Now, let me tell you this. Me running 5K is a lot harder than me going to turn another £1 million, which you probably think, well, how am I going to build £1 million business? Oh my God, I can't even think how am I going to do it. It seems so far away to get one customer to spend £1 million with me. And I knew that when I wrote that 5K that I would force myself to do it. And I've done it. I've done more than that. We're nearly the end of February. I've done more. In some weeks I've been running 10K a week. I can't bloody believe that I'm the person saying this, JB, that I'm actually committing to running at least 5K a week. But it's because I wrote it down. I just will not break that contract with myself. And I want you to go and do that, Christopher. Will you promise me you'll do that?
Yeah.
Write it down, baby.
You've got a goal setting thing in Entrepreneurship University, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got a goal setting.
How you actually set goals. So if you haven't
it's
joined
a
up yet,
weird, crazy thing when you write something down.
you put it in a gold frame and stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
We do this at home now because of hearing you doing that.
Yeah. So I think if you write that down and make a contract with yourself, you'll go and seek bigger customers. You need to get bigger customers. None of this subcontracting stuff. You be the Saatchi and Saatchi of 2024. Can I just say, Chris, I massively respect people coming on having a conversation with me. Not so much JB, but certainly with me, because I can be tough, and but I need being tough because I want it to work for you. And it should feel difficult, and if it feels difficult, it's getting results. Yeah, you should feel some tension towards me, and I don't like James Sinclair right now because I think you could be doing more than you're doing. Do you think I'm right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, business is. You can always push. You can always do more. You can always get to the next level. I don't think that we can take on MediaCom that have got 30,000 staff globally and the marketing budgets that they've got.
No, you're right, because you've just said that.
Yeah, it's taken, like I say, it's taken them, scores of years to be able to get to that.
Why are you retreating? Why are we retreating here? Why are we retreating? So you go into that conversation saying they've been doing it for 30 years. They've got thousands of staff. They've got all their establishment, but they don't know our nimble, fast approach that we've just learned.
Backed by AI.
You just got to, this stuff, get it out of your mind. You are a winner. You're an absolute winner, and I believe you can be. Your next question was, I'm going to read them out because we're galloping close towards the end. You said to me, how would you suggest to educate businesses in a market that generally don't understand, but quickly otherwise we will be too late? Well, that's making content. I think we answered that earlier. You've got to make more content, Christopher, and it's got to be on video. I know video first, then the books, and all of that stuff. I sell all my books. Anyone that buys my books is definitely because they've watched video content. People that come to my seminars and spend 2 days with me or a whole day with me because they consume short form content, then into long form content, then into books and seminars. So that's the answer to that one. And how would you raise revenue for a business like ours? Produce management accounts and pay corporation tax. What do you need revenue for, though? That's the better question. What do you need funding for?
Marketing budgets, really, and to be able to scale quick, much quicker than we are. Obviously, as we mentioned, we've got a very tight, profit line, and everything that we earn kind of goes back into the business, really.
So I mean, quickly, if I wanted
we can
to
scale it, but we just need the budget to be able to do that.
What sort of so this is on Google Ads and stuff like that?
Google Ads, looking at Facebook ads, looking at a whole number of different kind of channels.
What sort of money do you need
to be able to get? It depends on the scale. At the moment, we've got putting together about a 60 grand budget for the year to be able to push that.
Just get a credit card and pay it off at the end of each month, don't you? That's how I would sort that out and get your air miles on top. If you put 10 grand in and you're getting good, warm, qualified leads off your 10 grand, I mean, Party Pieces, which is our online party shop, we're spending about 20 grand a month with Google on AdWords. I put it all through my Amex. Bish, bash, bosh. Lovely. I love it. I'm flying around the world like Phileas Fogg, premium economy and
he's really living like premium economy.
Yeah,
come on now. 40 million quid a year in sales. He's in premium economy. You go left or right, sir? Always left. Always left, baby.
Yeah. And Christopher, the other thing is, I just lost my train of thought there, which is quite annoying. But I don't think these businesses need big funding. I think if you get good at getting leads, then you'll be able to self-fund yourself. One of the things that I always use as a tactic to get the right customers is think about list building first. And you're a marketer, you get that. Like, make a list of your ideal customers, and that might only be 50 people on that list. Get their name, get their address, and send them stuff in the post, and send them a teddy bear in the post, send them a balloon in the post, get their attention. That is how I've got my biggest customers, by sending stuff in the post. It's a tactic I still use today. It's called Lumpy Mail, and come offline, because, we all used to get excited about getting our first emails, and now we get excited about getting something in the post. Something nice in the post really makes people stop and think. And I think if you send out 50 pieces of mail a month consistently for a year to the right people that are going to spend good money with you, you will get a genius return on investment on that.
And the great thing is you can speed up the process with all this with your AI stuff you're doing. Like, you could literally, this is the stuff that you're telling companies to do: systemize, process. But instead of putting an API in, put AI in that spot. You could do all of this stuff. You just need to maybe take a step out of it to work on it, not in it.
You've got to be careful with AI, because, as an example, we're doing some AI bots on LinkedIn. Everybody just ignores it now. The same on kind of Facebook, with the comments. Everybody just...
That's why I'm saying send something in the post, because they can't ignore it.
That person. Well, do you know, it's funny, I was having a chat the other day, and somebody said that they send people a shoe.
Yeah.
And
beautiful.
I said, why the hell do you send a shoe? He goes, I've got my foot in the door. And I just thought that was
I love it. Yeah, see, one of my Grab It and Run, they're a company based in Cambridge. I've done some consultancy for Pete, who owns that business. He used to send a fake stick of dynamite, like 3, looked like dynamite, but obviously it was fake. And he used to send that to people, and he sent them remote control cars. And people just loved it, and they got in contact with him, and hardly anyone does it. It's like, why are people not doing it? It really makes people spend another 3 minutes thinking about you. Sending in a handwritten card and saying thank you to customers from working with you and stuff, it really, really makes a difference. In a very technological world, it's being very unusual in a very usual world. So there we go. Well, thanks for being on. Anything else? Well, look, if anyone's got any marketing help that they need, let's give Christopher a little shout out. If you're a small business, he's very good value for money at the moment, but he's going to put his prices up to give people the right level for his time. It's ChristopherClowes.com. It's Christopher CLOWES.com. That's right, isn't it, Christopher?
It is, yeah.
I appreciate you coming on, and I know having a conversation with me is tough. I want it to be good for you, and I think you can achieve more than you're actually achieving.
Sounds good.
There's some little clues in the things that you said that makes me think that you're thinking too small, and thinking bigger gives you a distinct advantage. And I think you've got a good personality, and I hope to see you on video so I can like it and occasionally share it.
Oh yeah, in fact, here you go, for positive pressure. When would you like to do your first video, Christopher? Just so we can hold you accountable in front of tens of thousands of people.
I've done loads. I've got a YouTube channel that we started posting on a few weeks ago.
Okay.
It's just the time. I think we've done about 30 videos, and my marketing manager keeps trying to drag me back in the office to do more, but I'm out seeing clients all the time. I'm out in meetings, so it's just getting back to have that couple of days back in the office. We've got a green screen and everything. When
would you like to do that, Christopher? When would you like to get in the office to do that?
It'll be next week, I'm hoping.
Yeah. When you're hoping, when's it actually going to happen?
All right, James. Look like we've got Anne Robinson on the podcast now, haven't we?
I became with Tony Robbins. Come on, you got to do it, man.
No, you've been a pleasure to be on. I hope people go and check you out. You seem like a lovely guy and a fellow Essex champion as well. Thanks for being on the Business Broadcast.
Cheers, Christopher. Thank you for being on, mate.
Cheers, bye.
Awesome stuff. There you go.
I think he was a bit disappointed in my. I was quite harsh there, wasn't I?
No, you were just keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Okay.
You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
No, I think he's got really good talents, and
there was lots of clues in his language there, though, that you said he kept talking about it, and I didn't pick him up on it because you were going to tell me off for trying to be small man's Tony Robbins. But he's talking. What did he come on to talk about?
growing his business.
Yep, but in what sector?
Marketing
and AI.
Yeah.
And what was the last thing that he said before you tried to pump up rah and would send him on his way?
I can't remember now. That was 10
about
minutes ago.
automations and all that stuff. He said the problem with AI is that everyone's doing it, it's not working. But that's the challenge. If you go into it, and again, not being all woo-woo about it, but if you go into things expecting them to fail, you will find more of what you're looking for.
Yeah, you do.
The reticular activation system. Your brain looks for things that it is already looking for.
Are you a doctor? Where are you getting those facts from?
I have actually got an NCFE level 1 in radio production. So there you go. Highly qualified.
Did you do... You have done an NLP course,
yeah, NLP. And
where did you do that? What country was that in?
In the UK.
Do you use that in your daily life?
Yeah, I've used it on you already loads of times today.
Have you?
Yeah. I wanted you for your own health to eat the bang bang chicken. What did you have for lunch?
Bang bang chicken.
Made you eat it, didn't I? There you go.
How do you know that?
How do you know that?
You liar. I didn't even have a conversation with you.
But the thing is, with NLP, everyone thinks it's some like mystical dark art. It's not. It's about
let's tell people what it stands for.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
And it means, in 10 seconds for simple people,
it is the art and science of communication. That's how I'd summarize it.
And some people naturally do it.
Some people naturally do it, but once you understand it, then you understand how to use it. It's basically like like if you've ever watched Tony Robbins and do what he's doing. Oh, how does Tony do it? He's like an evangelical priest and he makes people walk again. Blah blah blah. He's using NLP, but he would never say it's NLP. But all of the tactics are NLP.
So can you give us a par example?
It's for stop doing what's with the weird French. But like for example, with
do you think I do it naturally?
Yes.
Entertainers do it naturally.
Entertainers do it naturally, and they don't necessarily know that they're doing NLP.
No,
you don't do NLP; you just understand NLP. But there's like what you picked up on there with his language patterns. He has got some very negative. I could say it now because he's left the studio. He's got some very negative language patterns, and if he continues to use those language patterns, he's going to stay exactly where he is. And do you know what? I think on some level he wants to stay where he is because going to the next level is actually scary for him, which is why he's holding himself back. Oh, I'm doing YouTube. Okay, cool. I'm doing YouTube. My marketing manager pulls me back.
I wanted to put him down. He said, I don't like being on video. And then he's just told us that he's got a YouTube channel. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So
you could listen for the language patterns in that and pick that apart.
Right.
Which is...
So good politicians are using NLP very well.
100%. Yeah. But that will be framed probably as like media training to them.
But some of them do it naturally. And they're like Tony Blair was very good at it, whether you like him or not.
Oh, yeah. But he would have been trained to do that.
Because I know Margaret Thatcher was trained because she was useless. If you watch some of her early speeches, she just couldn't connect.
No, she didn't connect. And she didn't care, but that's half of her power.
Yeah.
The Iron Lady didn't care about connecting and communicating.
So someone like Nigel Farage, and we're dangerously close to like saying who we side with or not here, but he is, whether you like him or not,
master communicator.
Yes, he is.
You know exactly what he stands
even his
for.
enemies, even politician enemies, say that about him, don't they?
Yeah.
That he's very good.
He uses NLP. He uses lots of language patterns.
Yeah.
He uses lots of.
But he's one of the gifted ones that have just got it.
He's got it, and he probably wouldn't study it to get better, but most of them will study and get better.
I suppose if you're doing radio every day, TV every day, and you're being interviewed every day, and you're saying, "Yeah, I like doing it. I'll do more." Yeah. You're just going to get your 10,000 hours of mastery, which he's had.
When you listen to politicians, they say they never answer a question. That's that is beautiful communication. Even if you hate what they're saying, it's amazing to watch it and understand it. Go, how did they do that? How do they put that back? How do they mirror it back to the person? How do they get?
Because I think I always thought Theresa May was a useless communicator, but I've watched her in podcasts now after, but she's not in power anymore, and there's no two ways about it. Whether you agree or disagree with that, she's a smart person.
She's smart.
She knows how many beans make five.
Yeah.
But just couldn't communicate.
No, and that's it. And the value is in the communication. Yeah. Because look, she could have been the best. Whether you like or hate Margaret Thatcher, and let's not get political. Let's chuck a red one in there as well. So like Tony Blair, whether you like him or hate him, amazing communicators. You knew where they stood, and even if you didn't respect their opinion, you respect their. Even if you didn't agree with it, you respected what they said, or you understood what they said.
So how can business owners, as someone that's a neuro-linguistic programmer, practitioner, or whatever,
master practitioner, I'll have you know. Yep,
master practitioner.
That was another week of my life. I'll never get that.
No, because I think it has served you well, hasn't it? But you was probably always you've always naturally been a good communicator, a good conversationalist. You've never been shy.
No, but here's the thing. What NLP gets you really good at, I thought when I went to do it, it was my pal was the lead trainer, and I helped him with his book, with part of a book launch. He said, as a thank you, come along and do NLP. I didn't really know what it was. And I thought, oh, brilliant, I'm going to learn some sales tactics. That's what I thought it was going to be. And I walked in, and within the first 15 minutes, someone was spilling their guts and crying on the floor. I was like, oh, this was not what I thought this was going to be for this week in Bromley Civic Business Centre. But actually, I went in thinking it was about how you learn to speak better and communicate better. Well, what I really came away from it with, ironically, not being able to say that sentence, is it's about the communication is 90% listening. I was always good at talking. I was the class clown. I could stand on the stage in front of 1,000 people and make them laugh and sing some songs and all the rest of it. I thought that's communication, but actually it's not. It's listening. So there, for example, you could bulldoze Christopher with your opinion, but if you listen to his language, you could have a great, powerful conversation with him and help him move forwards based on what he's saying.
Yeah.
And conversations, great communicators is 90% about listening and 10% about what you say. And I know that's worked because everyone in this room has now gone silent because they're so bought into that conversation. Aren't they? Look at Nigel's crying. Nigel's got a tear in his eye.
But I did ask you,
So I didn't want to answer it.
What's the answer for business owners? How can they use NLP to help their business?
Listen more.
Listen more.
So when, for example, you might think, oh, that's evading the question, but like when you're on a sales call and someone doesn't want to buy, listen to why they don't want to buy. And then you can frame the question in a different way. Because again, people think that sales is about like cleverly manipulating somebody. That's what NLP is. It's positive manipulation. It's learning how to manipulate people, but for the betterment of them. So like bad people will use NLP for bad. So it's using your superpower for good. But like in the case there with Christopher, for example, I bet there's loads of clues as to why he's not going that AI business in the conversations he's having.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I suppose in education, a good teacher is using NLP to get kids to learn better. And do their work and actually do it in a way that they go, this is, I suppose as parents, we're using NLP on our children all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's
working. The value of communication is how it's received by the intended party.
Yeah.
So like with the child, what do you want the child to do? Like you want them to go upstairs, brush their teeth and go to bed.
Yeah.
Now you can either do that by dragging them up the stairs, which as parents, maybe we have done that sometimes. But equally, you can say to them, well, I don't want to go to bed. Okay, you don't want to go to bed now? Okay, well, do you want to go to bed now or in 5 minutes? 5 minutes. Okay, cool. The outcome you're getting is still the same. They're going to go up the stairs. But when we go, if you're going to start for an extra 5 minutes, I need you to brush your teeth and then pick your book and then get straight into bed. I'm saying that because I literally used this tactic last night. And you're getting the outcome that you want, but making them think that they've had the win. That's really good communication when people think they've had the win and getting what they want. Actually,
the classic thing that business owners do is they come up with an idea, and to get their team to buy in, they make it so that the team have come up with the idea. And they're very happy to just part their ego. What a brilliant idea!
You do it all the time.
Don't give my tactics away. I was trying to talk about myself in the third person, but that is.
You say we all the time.
Yeah.
The brilliant thing about what we do, you're doing it and you're telling everyone that's what you're doing. But you say we. That's part of your NLP. Your part of your language is that you say us and we, not me and I. You never refer to what you're doing.
Yeah.
But you're the one who's leading the charge.
It's a fascinating thing, isn't it? Well, it's good when you understand the way it's all happening in the world. Okay, well, thanks very much for listening to this podcast.
Got a bit deep and meaningful, didn't it?
Yeah, I like the pre-chats and after-chats, which is what I think has elevated this podcast so much. And I like digging into each other's brains to help our listener and viewer.
That's it now, I've got nothing else.
I hate to say it. Well, I love to say it really, but I think we're going to get over 5,000 per episode if you add up what's happening on audio and what's happening visually. More.
That's good though, isn't it?
I mean, Swifty, Beyonce, we're coming for you,
We're
baby.
after you. Bartlett. Space at number one. We're coming for you.
So if you are a regular listener, please make sure you subscribe wherever you listen or watch your podcast.
Yeah.
And if you are on YouTube, we love reading the comments. We've had some great comments. We need to read some out, actually, just because I think Chad said, you must read out the comments from YouTube. And I think we should shout out to our regular listener that comes on. Let me just switch accounts. While I'm finding some good things, can you tell people about what's coming up in June, JB?
Yeah, in June. If you like this podcast, if you would like to be part of this experience, if you'd like to grow your business and have some fun at the same time, if you'd like to learn and lol, we should call it the learn.
Yeah.
What do you think of that as a tagline? Learn and lol.
Learn and lol.
Not sold on it. Okay, there you go. See what I did there with NLP? I picked up the perception of his body language, which was very negative. But you can come and watch this live. James Sinclair's business broadcast live in London.
But you'll be there.
On the June the 10th. Yeah, I'll be there as well.
Yeah, we're hoping our wives will
NLPing
come.
the entire audience. It's going to
Yeah.
be like a Darren Brown show.
No, it's going to be good. We're going to do the business broadcast live. We're going to do some stuff
Help
live.
business
around
challenges
this.
live, yeah.
And then we're going to do a Q&A live, so you can just ask questions. We're going to record it all. Then we're going to have some drinks afterwards. And I'm hearing complimentary Rossi ice cream.
Fantastic.
I just need to speak to someone that can make the decision. I've made the decision.
We are thinking about it.
Good Wins Gaming 1844 said, all have been great, but this is the best yet. You are also my favourite YouTube channel. That was on our video that we done about
Is that self-storage?
self-storage.
That
where the
was a
banks,
good episode, wasn't it?
The banks don't
Dean
want to fund
Booty.
it. Lewis Lawson 2339 says, love the content you always watch every week. He always watches every week. Really enjoy your talks, but I do think it's not a smart idea to advocate the use of personal guarantees. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying I'm happy to do that. So we're going to do the controversial ones as well. There's probably many different levels of business owners who listen. As someone who took a personal guarantee for a business and was left with large debts to pay the business, went into a CVL after 2 years. I'm sorry to hear that. This can be a dark place for entrepreneurs when you have to spend years paying off the debt. I just wish you wouldn't talk about the honest reality. I just wish you would also talk about the honest realities of what happens if the business fails and you have personal guarantees, just to balance for you, so that smaller businesses don't immediately get financing with personal guarantees without knowing the potential consequences. Very true.
Very true.
Very true.
But
also,
you have not been through that experience. So you always talk from lived
no,
experience.
I've had failed businesses.
Yeah, but you didn't have a PE against them, did you?
Yeah, and then I would just use one of the other businesses to pay them off if things didn't go.
Oh, fine, but
the
then
way I wanted.
that comment is entirely valid then.
Yeah, it is entirely valid, but it's going to be very difficult for anyone to raise funding
Yeah.
without a personal guarantee these days. They just don't happen anymore.
Mm.
I'll read one more. They were all good other than that one. But I think this is the proof.
To find it.
Yes. Great content, James. Thank you so much for sharing financial knowledge. Really appreciated. We don't give financial advice.
Especially your advice on
Luke
personal
Stevenson, who's been watching my stuff for a very long time. A lot of gold dust in this episode. Thank you, chaps. Excellent podcast, chaps. One of the more interesting guests. Best podcast and show in the world.
There you
I'm
go.
not even joking. It says that. Best.
Take it.
So there we go. Taylor Swift, we've beat you there as well.
If you've got some, has she got a podcast yet or a YouTube channel?
No.
I'm not sure she has.
I'm sure she's got a YouTube channel.
Do you know what she'll do with that feedback though?
What?
I think she'll shake it off. Hey! High five! Come on now, he's having a good time. John is fuming.
There we go.
We've ruined the end of this podcast.
There we go.
Anyway.
Thanks very much for listening, guys. Hopefully you'll see you at our live theatre show at the Leicester Square Theatre on June the 10th. Tickets are available through jamessinclair.net and we'll see you there.